everybody. Tonight we're going to be talking about a strange conflux between two groups of musicians. Uh, at a time when folk musicians started to get interested in playing jazz pieces, modern jazz pieces at that, and at the same time, jazz musicians started becoming interested in playing folk music. So the first half, we'll start looking at the folk musicians playing jazz, and then in the second half, we'll talk about the musicians who crossed in the opposite direction. So the first part of the talk is going to be a British phenomenon. It's all about British musicians, and we'll be talking about three folk guitarists in particular. And the first one I want to mention is a guy called Davy Graham. Now he's slightly older than the other two. He's perhaps 3 or 4 years older than the other two. So he sort of emerged slightly ahead of the other two we're going to be talking about. He took up the guitar, classical guitar, at the age of 12, and was strongly influenced as a teenager by a folk guitarist called Steve Bembo, who had traveled widely with the army and played a guitar style influenced by Moroccan music. Now, at the age of 19, Graham wrote probably his most famous composition called Angie, and this became the test piece for many a folk guitarist. We're not going to be playing it tonight because it doesn't really quite fit into the requirements. But perhaps I better say how I first sort of came across all this music. I did have a period when I was going to folk clubs in the late 60s. There's a very good folk club at the Wheatsheaf where we used to hold our meetings one time. And there were some very good local musicians. I never came across any of the three musicians we're talking about now. And then many years later, a friend of mine who was into folk music lent me a compilation of folk music called The Electric Muse. And I listened to some of this, and there was one track, well, a series of tracks that really grabbed my attention. And the one that really grabbed my attention is the one we're going to be playing first of all. And this is a Charlie Mingus tune called Better Get It in Your Soul. And this is by Davy Graham from his 1964 LP, Folk Blues and Beyond. And it's a trio consisting of Graham on guitar, Tony Reeves on double bass, and Barry Morgan on drums. Now, Tony Reeves became a bit well known later on as the bass guitarist of Colosseum. But the thing that amazed me was how three musicians managed to produce the effect of, say, 7 or 8 of Mingus's musicians. So if you'd like to play this first track, Jason, that'd be great. Yeah, fantastic. The thing that struck me was how that was so different from uh, jazz guitar at the time. You know, sort of jazz guitar from sort of Charlie Christian onwards was uh, playing a playing a line over a chord sequence, a single note line over a chord sequence, and but that had so much going on in it. It could have gone on for a bit longer. From the same LP, we're now going to play the solo guitar track by David Graham, and this is the jazz tune Moaning. Okay, Jason. Actually, I've just realised that there were some drums and bass on that. Yeah, I've just realised that there were drums and bass on that. Sorry, I misled you right at the beginning. Um, we move on to another LP produced around about the same time by Decca. This was a collaboration with Shirley Collins, the folk singer, but this is a solo item, which is the Thelonious Monk tune, Blue Monk. Now, this is the sort of basic blues that could have been almost written by Victor Brunswick or someone like that. So it's not really quite such a big leap to start for a folk musician to start, folk and blues musician, to start playing this. So the next track is Blue Monk. David Graham there with Blue Monk, and we'll be hearing another Monk tune and played by the next guitarist we're going to be talking about. So now we're going to be talking about John Renbourn. Now he's about 4 years younger than David Graham, so came along a little bit later, and he's probably got more of an academic background in music and playing the guitar because he had piano lessons as a young boy and was introduced to early music. He took grade examinations in classical guitar, which influences later folk and blues guitar arrangements. And a little bit later on, he actually went back to college to do a degree in composition at Dartington College and in Devon, and later on was sorry, it was a degree course in composition or orchestration, and as a result of which he ended up joining the staff there to set up a course on guitar playing and sort of thing. So looking at John Renbourn, I've chosen two examples which are a little bit later on than where we're talking about because it gives us a video so we can actually see him playing. So this is from 1986. It's a performance of Round Midnight, and it's with an American guitarist called Stefan Grossman in the Guitar Workshop series. So this is Round Midnight. Thelonious Monk by played by John Renbourn and Stefan Grossman. By the way, John Renbourn was the guitarist on the left. And we're going to carry on with another video, but just John Renbourn on his own. And this is his version of Little Niles, the tune by Randy Weston. So
well, here's one that's an arrangement of a piano tune from an American jazz pianist and composer, very fine musician, man called Randy Weston. And it's become something of a jazz standard nowadays. It's very pretty. It's called Little Niles. Thank you.
Now we come to the third of our folk guitarists, Bert Jansch. Now, Bert Jansch was actually born in Glasgow, but he was the descendant of a family that had originally moved from Hamburg in Germany, hence the German-sounding name. And he's about the same age as John Renbourn. I would say he's probably more of a more bluesy perhaps than the other two. But anyway, he came to London and met up with John Renbourn, and they produced an LP together called Bert and John on the Transatlantic label in 1966. And I've chosen another Charlie Mingus tune from that record, Goodbye Pork Pie Hat. Okay. Goodbye Pork Pie Hat by John Renbourn and Bert Jansch. Now, together they formed a resident uh, backing group, if you like, at a pub called the Horseshoe on Tottenham Court Road in London, and they accompanied it, visiting singers. Could be people like Sandy Denny, and also Jackie McShea sang there. And this was sort of laying the embryo for the group Pentangle, which was formed in 67, perhaps early 67. And their first gig, they made their concert debut at the Royal Festival Hall in May 1967. And they included a number of jazz pieces on their LP Sweet Child, which we're going to have a listen to now. And the first track we're going to listen to is called I've Got a Feeling, but we jazzers might know it as something else. So see what you think it's we would call it.
I got a feeling concerning you. Your
Uh, that was, of course, All Blues by Miles Davis. And it's a nice change to see somebody stealing something from Miles rather than the other way around. Um, and the full lineup was Jackie McShea on vocals, John Renbourn and Bert Yance on acoustic guitars, Danny Thompson on double bass, and Terry Cox on drums. Now, playing that track reminded me that a couple of years later than the recording of that, I was playing in a prog rock band with the unlikely name of Mobius Loop. And the drummer in that band was a really uh, strong fan of Pentangle. So we had to do that track. But strangely enough, we didn't use the words that Pentangle used. We used some words that had been written by Annie Ross for a recording with Point, Tony Poindexter, but it was the same basic thing and great to play. Okay, we've now got another jazz piece which with another cryptic title, uh, Waltz. See whether you can work out what this is really called.
Next one we've got coming up, actually I think it'd be the last one in this set. It's called Waltz. It's a sort of combination of waltzes that we all play.
And of course, that was really Better Get It in Your Soul by Charlie Mingus. Um, our last track of this half is going to be another version of Goodbye Pork Pie Hat, which of course we'd heard earlier with a version by John Renbourn and Bert Jansch. Um, so this is Goodbye Pork Pie Hat again. Pentangle with Goodbye Pork Pie Hat by Charlie Mingus. Now, Pentangle became very popular and they toured relentlessly, but the touring took its toll. And by early 1973, they had actually disbanded, although they did reform a little bit later on in 1980 briefly. Well, that's the end of the folk section of this recital. Uh, all English musicians, by the way. Sorry, British musicians. Um, and in the second half, we're going to look at some musicians, all Americans, it turns out, who made the trip in the opposite direction by um, taking folk songs and giving them a jazz treatment. And we'll discuss the reasons why this became a fairly common thing in the late 50s and early 60s. And we'll be looking basically at three musicians, although there were a couple of other candidates I could have put in, and I'll explain who those might have been in the second half. Um, one, I was struggling to, I'd read about some evidence that she'd backed a folk singer, and she's certainly done some folk-oriented arrangements, but I couldn't really find any documentary evidence for the folk playing. And the other guy that we would talk about, I left him out because Mike's going to be doing a recital about him later on. But we'll talk about those people in the second half. So that's the end of part one. I shouldn't put that chocolate in my mouth. Anyway, okay, part two. This is where we look at jazz musicians playing folk instead of folk musicians playing jazz. And we're looking at three musicians, quite different characters in a way. And the first musician we're looking at is the clarinetist Bill Smith. Now, he was a very well-schooled clarinetist, and I'm sure Alan will be very pleased to hear what I'm going to play tonight. Now, Bill Smith was born in Sacramento, California in 1926, and he began studying clarinet at 10 years of age. And two years later, he was running his high school dance band. So rapid progress in that. And because he was young compared with the obviously a lot of musicians were drafted in the Second World War, and so dance bands got filled up with quite young people, and so Bill Smith played. He was in a road band traveling around the States playing. I think it was clarinet and tenor saxophone he played, but he did not like this very much, and he decided to get off the road. And instead of getting off the road in California, he got off the road in New York and signed up to do some courses at the Juilliard School of Music. And what he was not only interested in clarinet technique, but he was also interested in composition. But it seems he did not get on with the composition tutors at Juilliard. So he ended up translating himself back across the states to California and signing up at Mills College in California to study with Darius Milhaud. And that's where he met all the rest of the members of the Brubeck entourage. And of course, Bill Smith was an important member of the Brubeck octet, which was basically all the students who were studying at Mills College. So he kept in touch with Brubeck, and in 19 get the date right. 1960, he recorded an album with Brubeck called The Riddle, which is based on a single folk song. But I found out later that he was also at the same time working on his own folk song album for Contemporary Records. And that was with a quartet consisting of himself on clarinet, uh, Bill Hall, Jim Hall on guitar, Monty Budwig on bass, and Shelley Vance on drums. And we're going to listen to a folk song called John Henry. I'll perhaps just give you a little bit of the background to this. It's quite a well-known folk song, and John Henry was about the life of a steel worker who died during the construction of the Big Bend Tunnel in West Virginia on the C&O, that's the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad, around 1873. And what he was trying to do, he was trying to compete with the steam drills that had just come in, and actually managed to beat the steam drill, but then collapsed and died. So this is a song called John Henry. Um, that was John Henry by Bill Smith Group. I just like to say a few words about why I think jazz musicians started uh, looking at folk songs around about this time. I think the problem was jazz had started out as a folk music in the New Orleans era, but after 40 years of frantic development, it had got a bit sophisticated and complicated. And so people wanted to get back to something that was a bit simpler and a bit more easy to be melodic on. Hence folk music, hence modal music, hence hard bop. Uh, and also, at the time these recordings were made, LPs were becoming important. So doing a folk jazz LP was a way of creating a sort of unifying theme for an LP. Particular folk songs from a particular location, maybe, or variations on a particular folk song, that sort of thing. And so we'll go on to the next Bill Smith album, which was he made with the Dave Brubeck Quartet. That's Dave Brubeck, of course, on piano, uh, Joe Morello on drums, and Gene Wright on bass. And this LP is based around a folk song, which Bill Smith identifies as Hey Ho, Anybody Home. But I think really, I'd look for this title in some folk song books. I couldn't find it. I found that the title should really be Hey Ho, Nobody Home. And it's one of these sort of round things where it goes round in a circle. And what Bill Smith has done, and he's done it rather cleverly and rather beautifully, is produce variations on this folk song. And we're going to listen to the the basic tune and a couple of variations on that. And these are all from a record called The Riddle, put out by CBS in 1960. So we'll have the base material, if you like, Hey Ho, Anybody or Nobody at Home to start with. Uh, that was the main theme. Hey, oh, anybody home? We're going to play now Quiet Mood, which uh, uses the if you imagine the tune, there's a two bar phrase and then a next two-bar phrase. Well, this uses the second two-bar phrase as its point of departure, and it gives a more reflective and uh, kind of mood to the piece. So this is called Quiet Mood. Quiet Mood by Dave Brubeck Quartet and Bill Smith. And we finish off this little segment with The Riddle, which is basically the original source tune, but with shorter note values. I think it just rounds things off nicely. That's The Riddle. That was a riddle by Bill Smith with the Dave Brubeck group. Now we'll just pause now to think about some people who might have made it onto this recital, but didn't. One obvious candidate was Jimmy Jufrey, just listening to the sound of the clarinet there. But I couldn't find any instance of Jimmy Jufrey arranging a known folk tune, although his work is, of course, very folk-like. And then I was mindful of the fact that Mike Butler is going to be doing a whole evening on Jimmy Free anyway, so I'll leave him to talk about that. And now the other candidate was surprising. This may surprise you, but was Carla Bley. At one time, she did back a folk singer uh, on piano, and I've got no recorded evidence of this. And she also arranged a folk song book. That's this folk song book here, which was designed for classroom use. So this has got 47 arrangements by Carla Bley of folk songs. And also there are a couple of arrangements that Carla Bley wrote for George Russell that have sort of folk song elements. The obvious one is Frère Jacques, which is sort of French folk song. The other one is an arrangement of a piece called Rhymes, which I can sort of work it out as possibly a deconstruction of Where Have All the Flowers Gone, but a bit obscure, really. So anyway, let's get on with another jazz musician who was interested in exploring the folk repertoire, and this is John Benson Brooks. John Benson Brooks is an interesting character. I could probably do a whole recital on him. Very fascinating character. Very well educated musically at the New England Conservatory and Juilliard School of Music. Was involved in the swing era as an arranger for the Randy Brooks Orchestra, which is one of the first orchestras that Stan Getz played with. And in fact, he owned a share of this orchestra as well. Also wrote quite a few popular songs, probably the most well-known of which is You Came a Long Way from St. Louis. Now, his folk song involvement started in 1950 when he arranged to have a jazz group play with the Weavers folk song group, which included Pete Seeger, at the town hall in New York. And give you an idea of the sort of musicians involved, they were Taft Jordan on trumpet, Benny Green on trombone, and Bud Johnson on tenor. And Bill Crow, who later played bass with Mulligan, was on bass. And that was in 1950, but it took another 7 years before that music got onto LP on the Vic label, which I think is the bargain label of the RCA Victor company. And essentially, this first album is really what you might call white folk music, whereas the second album we're going to look at is definitely black Negro folk music. So we'll have a little look at two items from this first LP, which is called Folk Jazz USA. And the musicians involved on this are Nick Travis, trumpet, Zoot Sims, alto, Al Cohn playing baritone instead of his normal tenor, Barry Galbraith on guitar, Buddy Jones on bass, and Ozzie Johnson on drums. And the first one is quite a well-known folk tune called Black is the Colour of My True Love's Hair. I'm sorry, that wasn't Black is the Colour of Gertrude's Hair, obviously. And I realise now that on my LP, there are two tracks that are transposed. And I should really have mentioned that to Jason, but I sort of naively assumed that YouTube would have got it right on the on their. But so that was actually Turtle Dove, a folk song called Turtle Dove. I'm sorry about that. But they are two tracks that are transposed. Um, they both have exactly the same length. Anyway, we'll go on to the next one, which is Wayfaring Stranger. The next John Benson Brooks folk song album is a much more ambitious venture, and it arose out of some work he'd done on transcribing recordings that had been made in Alabama, hence the name Alabama Concerto. And we need to talk about the guy who did those recordings, who was called Harold Quarlander. He's what you might call an anthropologist, and also he was a novelist as well. Um, and he'd made a series of recordings in Alabama, which seemed to show that the oral music traditions intact were confirmed by the tapes he was recording. And there were a lot of carryovers from African music. And John Benson Brooks did a lot of the transcriptions of these and then put them into his Alabama Concerto. Now, Harold Corlander, this is just a footnote, we can mention him in connection with the TV series Roots. I don't know whether any people saw that, about the transshipment of slaves from Africa to um, the States. And Harold Corlanger was able to sue the author of Roots because the author of Roots had actually plagiarized large chunks of a novel he'd written several years earlier. And the author of Roots, Alec Haley, had to pay Harold Corlander, I think it was $600,000. Anyway, that's a by the way. So there was a lot of research and a lot of music that came out of Corlander's trips to Alabama, and John Benson Brooks used a lot of it in the Alabama Concerto. I've not really got to grips with the concerto myself. There's so much music in it. So I'm just going to play the first movement, which is based on our old friend John Henry again. So this is the Alabama Concerto, and the musicians involved this time are Cannonball Adderley, Art Farmer, and Barry Galbraith and Milt Hinton. Thank you. That was the first movement of Alabama Concerto written by John Benson Brooks based on his transcriptions from some recordings made in Alabama. Now we're going to finish off with the last musician, and possibly you might think he's the last person you might expect to make a folk song recording, and that I'm talking about the tenor sax player Johnny Griffin. I don't think I need to say very much about Johnny Griffin. I think most people are familiar with his work in the hard bop sort of tradition. But he had a contract with Riverside Records in the 60s, and they tried to present him in different settings. I think there was the Big Soul Band was one setting. I think there was a collection of Billie Holiday tunes was another setting. Well, this is this was a folk song setting called The Kerry Dancers and Other Swinging Folk, and the cover of the LP had Johnny Griffin in a suitably country environment with a ladder-back chair. So the first one, oh, and I should say the group he was using was the group that he was using at that time, which was Barry Harris on piano, Ron Carter on bass, and Ben Riley on drums. And this is from 1962. And we're going to start with Green Grove the Rushes, which apparently, yeah, carry on. Green Grow the Rushes. I think the full title was Green Grow the Rushes Hoe, and apparently Johnny Griffin took that down from an LP by Ewan McCall, the well-known British folk singer. We'll carry on with some more folk tunes, and I think we finally get to hear "Black is the Colour of My True Love's Hair." we're going to finish off with our old chestnut, the Kerry Dancers. Take it away, Mason. That was the Curry Dancers, the final folk song of our evening. I'd like to thank you all for your attention. I'd also like to thank Jason for putting together my playlist, finding all the tracks on YouTube or Spotify, and acting as my DJ tonight. Thanks, Jason.